In a world where the unseen is often the most terrifying, one crime in particular sends shivers down our spines more than any other. True crime, a genre that compels us, enthralls us, and yet leaves us sleeping with one eye open. These are not tales spun from the threads of imagination, but chilling accounts rooted in reality. The very thought that such horror exists among us is what makes it all the more frightening. Today, we delve into the depths of one such terrifying tale. Our story begins in a quiet, unassuming town, a place where everyone knows everyone and nothing ever seems to happen. Nestled in the heart of the country, this town is a picturesque haven, streets lined with quaint houses, each with its own little garden. It's the kind of place where kids can play safely in the streets until sundown, where the local grocer knows everyone by name, and where the annual town fair is the highlight of the year. The townsfolk, a tight-knit community, live a life of simplicity and harmony. Days are filled with mundane routines and small-town charm. Evenings are quiet, with only the distant hoot of an owl or the rustling of leaves in the wind. All seems idyllic, the perfect setting for a peaceful existence. But beneath this peaceful facade, a sinister reality was about to unfold. One ordinary day, a resident of the town suddenly vanished into thin air. In the heart of this quiet town, where life was as predictable as the sunrise, something unthinkable happened. John Doe, a beloved local, was nowhere to be found. John, a friendly face in the neighbourhood, was known for his daily routine. A walk to the local bakery, a chat at the town square, and an evening stroll with his dog, Max. But on this fateful day, Max returned home alone. The town was struck with disbelief. How could someone just disappear from a place where everyone knew each other? John's last known whereabouts were at the town square, where he'd been seen chatting with friends. That evening, he was supposed to have dinner at the local diner, but he never showed. The diner's owner, a close friend, raised the alarm. As the hours ticked by, a sense of unease started to creep in. The local police were notified, and they began a thorough search of the town. They knocked on every door, combed through every alley, and even searched the surrounding woods. But there was no sign of John. The community rallied together, plastering the town with posters of John's smiling face. Candlelight vigils were held in the town square, and prayers were whispered in the local church. But as the sun set each day, the town was left with an eerie silence and a growing unease. The initial police response was swift and thorough. They treated John's case as a priority, understanding the fear that had gripped the town. But as the days turned into weeks, with no sign of John, the optimism started to wane. The town, once known for its tranquility, was now a place of anxiety and speculation. Whispers of foul play began to circulate, turning neighbours into suspects. As days turned into weeks, the town's fear grew. They were living a nightmare. The once quiet town was now echoing with the chilling reality of a resident's disappearance and the mystery that surrounded it. With no leads and an increasing sense of desperation, the police began their investigation in earnest. The small town's tranquility had been shattered, the echoes of laughter and joy replaced by a palpable unease that hung heavy in the air. The initial stages of the investigation were a whirlwind of activity. The local police department, unaccustomed to such a high-profile case, sprang into action. Officers conducted house-to-house inquiries, hoping that someone, anyone, might have seen or heard something unusual. They interviewed friends, family and neighbours, trying to piece together the events of that fateful day. Yet every lead seemed to dissolve into nothing. Every trail ended in a dead end. The townspeople too were not mere spectators. They rallied together, forming search parties that combed the nearby woods, fields, and even the local lake. The sense of community was stronger than ever, as fear for the missing person bound them together in a grim solidarity. Yet, as the days turned into weeks, hope began to fade. The once bustling search parties dwindled in size. The optimism that once fueled their efforts slowly replaced by a creeping dread. The police were working around the clock, their frustration growing with each passing day. The case was like a puzzle with missing pieces, a jigsaw that refused to come together. The lack of tangible evidence was maddening, and the pressure from the public was mounting. Yet they remained undeterred, determined to uncover the truth. But as the investigation progressed, it seemed that every new piece of information only deepened the mystery. Theories were formed and discarded, leads followed and abandoned. The case was a maze with no clear path, a riddle with no apparent solution. And so, despite their best efforts, the resolve, the determination, the tireless hours spent in pursuit of justice, the police were left with more questions than answers. The disappearance had morphed into an enigma, a chilling conundrum that threatened to remain unsolved, casting a long, dark shadow over the once peaceful town. Just when hope seemed to be fading, a chilling discovery was made. The tranquil silence of the investigation was shattered, replaced by the eerie echoes of a truth too disturbing to comprehend. It all started with a seemingly insignificant find, an ordinary item that one wouldn't give a second glance. A worn-out black leather glove, half buried in the mud near the edge of the town's now infamous forest. The glove, in its solitary state, seemed out of place, an anomaly in the otherwise undisturbed landscape. The investigators, initially dismissive, considered it just another piece of lost property, unconnected to the case. But the seasoned detective, with an intuition honed by years of experience, felt a nagging sense of unease. The glove was sent to the lab for analysis, a decision that would soon prove pivotal. When the lab results came back, the atmosphere in the room went from casual to tense. The glove, it turned out, held traces of the missing person's DNA, a discovery that immediately reignited the waning embers of the investigation. The team sprung into action, their renewed vigor palpable. The forest, once just a background to the town's tranquility, became the focal point of the inquiry. It was as if the glove had pointed them towards a path they had overlooked, a path that led deep into the heart of the forest and potentially to the answers they sought. The discovery of the glove changed everything. It was no longer a mere disappearance. The missing person had not just vanished into thin air. They had left behind a trace, a clue that suggested a struggle, a fight, and ultimately a sinister turn of events. The town, once a haven of peace, was now cast under a shadow of dread. Whispers of fear threaded through the once carefree chatter as the townsfolk grappled with the chilling implications. This was no ordinary disappearance. Something far more sinister was at play. The glove was just the first piece of a jigsaw puzzle that would unravel a truth more horrifying than anyone could have imagined. The evidence led to a revelation that sent shockwaves through the quiet town. We now find ourselves at the heart of the matter, in the midst of a revelation that would shake the very foundation of this serene community. The identity of the perpetrator was not a stranger, some passing drifter or a faceless monster hidden in the shadows. No, the person responsible was one of their own. A seemingly ordinary citizen, a neighbor, a friend, someone who had woven themselves tightly into the fabric of the town's everyday life. This person, who had been living among them, sharing in their joys and sorrows, was the one behind the chilling crime. This revelation sent a cold shiver down the spine of every resident. The motive behind the crime was just as shocking as the identity of the perpetrator. It was not greed, revenge, or a moment of passion gone awry. It was something far more sinister and deeply disturbing, a twisted desire to sow fear, to shatter the peace, to watch the town crumble from within. This was a meticulously planned act of terror, with a chillingly calculated execution. The revelation was like a storm that swept through the town, leaving destruction in its wake. Trust was shattered, friendships were broken, and the once close-knit community was now riddled with suspicion and fear. The town's tranquility was ripped apart, replaced by a haunting silence that echoed the horrifying truth. The town was left reeling, struggling to come to terms with the horrifying truth. The impact of this revelation was a harsh reminder of the fragility of trust, the vulnerability of communities, and the darkness that can lurk beneath the surface of the most peaceful places. It was a shock that would change this quiet town forever, a chilling chapter in its history that would never be forgotten. In the aftermath of the shocking revelation, the town was forever changed. The tranquil aura that once blanketed the streets was replaced by a chilling silence, a constant reminder of the horror that had unfolded. The town's residents, bound by a shared trauma, found themselves grappling with a new, unsettling reality. The trial was a spectacle of its own, drawing attention from far and wide. The courtroom was a melting pot of raw emotions: anger, sadness, fear, but above all, a desperate need for justice. The perpetrator, a once trusted member of the community, faced the consequences of his actions under the relentless scrutiny of the public eye. The defense presented their case, but the evidence was overwhelming. The verdict? Guilty. The punishment was severe, a life sentence with no chance of parole, a clear message that such heinous acts would not be tolerated. As for the victim's family, their journey was far from over. They had to navigate through a sea of grief and loss, each day a battle against the painful memories. Their resilience, however, was inspiring. They transformed their sorrow into a force for change, starting a foundation in their loved one's name to support other families affected by similar tragedies. Their strength became a beacon of hope for the town, a reminder that even in the darkest times, there is a glimmer of light. The community was deeply affected. Trust was shattered, replaced by suspicion and fear. Security measures were ramped up and parents held their children a little tighter. Yet amid the despair, unity emerged. The town came together, supporting each other, sharing their grief, and slowly they began to heal. The crime left an indelible mark on the town's history, a haunting reminder of the fragility of life and the darkness that can lurk in the most unexpected places. The once quiet town was now scarred, its innocence forever lost. This chilling crime left a lasting legacy not only on the town, but also on the world of true crime. It's a tale that has been told and retold, a grim reminder of the darkness that can lurk in the most unsuspecting of places. You see, this crime didn't just fade into the annals of history. Instead, it became a point of fascination, a case study for those intrigued by the macabre and the mysterious. It found its place in the pages of true crime literature, its chilling narrative forever etched into the collective psyche of its readers. But its influence didn't end at the written word. It seeped into other forms of media, permeating the screens of television sets and the waves of podcasts. The story was dissected, analyzed, and discussed from every angle, each retelling adding another layer to its enduring legacy. And it's not just about the sensationalism, the morbid curiosity that draws us to such stories. It's about the lessons that can be learnt from it. This crime, as horrific as it was, has served as a stark reminder of the importance of community vigilance and the power of thorough investigation. It has highlighted the need for improved safety measures and the crucial role of law enforcement in ensuring justice. Yet perhaps the most significant aspect of this crime's legacy is the conversations it has sparked. Conversations about justice, about safety, about the very nature of evil itself. It has prompted us to question, to think, to challenge our perceptions of the world around us. In a strange, paradoxical way, this crime has brought about a sense of unity. It has connected people from all walks of life, all bound by a shared interest, a shared desire to understand the incomprehensible. It has fostered a sense of community within the world of true crime, a world that continues to grow and evolve with each new case that captures the public's attention. And so this crime lives on, not in the physical sense, of course, but in the minds and hearts of those who delve into its narrative. It's a story that continues to resonate, to influence, to challenge. A story that, despite its darkness, has illuminated important discussions and catalyzed change. In the world of true crime, some stories are so chilling they echo through the ages. This is one of them,